Hello and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be drawing Hulk as an ice troll. This is another video in the mini-series of Christmas Avengers. I've already done a few and I'm still going to do a couple more before Christmas, so make sure to go and check those out if you haven't already. First thing I do is I look at lots of gorillas, and instead of having quite short legs, which gorillas do compared to their body, I had longer legs than gorillas. But other than that, I mostly just looked at gorilla proportions and gorilla sort of stances, and that's how I got the body proportions and the position. Then I started adding details like the skull over its waist and start going into tusks and things like that. I do a beard and some loose hair, and I think that this was just to try and get across the ice troll aesthetic before going in and adding Hulk sort of traits and features. Hands are something that I struggle with. I know lots of other people do as well, so I've been recently trying to actually improve on them more, and I think that these turned out pretty well. I think the side of the hands, especially his right hand or the one on the left, looks kind of odd, but I'm working on that, so yeah, working on that. Then I go in and I start doing things like the clothing. I knew that he was going to have almost like leg braces along his legs. For reference, I was using Hulk's Hulk Ragnarok when he's fighting in the arena. So that's where all of the things like the helmet and his armor and his weapon come from. Then I go on to his armor. Like I said, I'm using Hulk from Thor Ragnarok, where he has a big shoulder pad and like a cloth or something wrapping his arm. And I thought it looked pretty cool, so that's what I used. It also was easier to incorporate Hulk from Ragnarok because he's wearing lots of things, whereas if I didn't, it would just be a blue ice troll, not necessarily like Hulk. So I was just trying to incorporate as much of those Hulk things as I possibly could. For example, you can see the leg braces, the straps over his chest, the mauling star, and the shoulder pads, as well as his helmet with the almost Roman or Trojan helmet. For this drawing, I went into quite a lot of detail with the pencil because I was just adding things onto the design. So when I was doing line art, it was just making things clearer and making some details more prominent. Like I made his face, I made that look more vicious and visceral. I also made like the gloves look like gloves and tried to make his actual the arm look like it's covered in fabric instead of just an arm that's covered that's colored differently. I also added lots of buckles and stitching and the fur on his shoulders and on the back of his arms. And overall in this part I was just adding detail and lots of different little things to add depth and colour and design. Then I rub it out and move on to markers. Unfortunately for the first section of colour, the blue, I've sped it up a lot so you don't have to look at the weird dark greeny blue colour. That was my camera settings again, but I do change it in a couple of seconds, so that's good. Anyway, I started by just doing a base coat of blue across all of the areas that would be coloured skin. So, except I forget the fingers on the gloved hand and also his feet for some reason. I then go in with a light grey on the fur that covers his upper body, upper torso and the back of his shoulders. The next thing I do is go over his left arm with a brown, quite a light brown, and obviously it will get lighter as I keep saying with these markers, and that is a wrap, some sort of fabric wrap. Then I go over his loincloth, and I also go over things like his armor in a dark grey in a second. So yeah, I choose a darker grey so that it didn't blend with the grey of his fur or his hair, I guess. And I just go over the various pieces of armor, mainly just the helmet and the shoulder guard. Here I'm just colouring the fingers. And then I'm going over the other pieces of clothing in a brown. For example, the braces on the knees, they're in a brown. It does look quite dark, almost black in this, but it turns out brown in the end. The shoulder pad and straps, and then with the same brown that I went in with the leather wrap, I go in on the other wrist to colour in the wrist guard. Then I colour in the feet, and the last sort of things I do are the maul and the pieces of bone, like his horns, his teeth, the skull on his waist, and also the red plume. Then I move on to shading. The first thing I do is the weapon. Next thing I will do is the armor, and then I'll go into the skin. I make lots of the skin dark. The weapons I try to leave lots of highlights to add the depth. I'm trying to add like a varied shadow instead of just a straight shadow on the fabric to make it again different to the skin. Doing the skin, I do just do a flat shade and just go around all the bits that wouldn't be in light. And then that's the final thing. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already for more content just like this. And I'll leave you with the transition for the entire drawing. Have a great day.